Divorce is hard enough as it is, but what if you have a narcissistic spouse? What then? Hi, I'm Gerald Maggio, Southern California divorce and family law attorney, and in this video, I'm going to explain all about narcissistic spouses and some steps you need to consider in what to do in your divorce case when you're dealing with a narcissistic spouse. First of all, it's important to understand what it means to have a spouse that's narcissistic or may have narcissistic personality disorder. Generally, a person that's narcissistic or has such disorder has the following 4 traits. Number 1, they have an excessive focus on themselves. It's all about them. Number 2, they have a grandiose sense of self-importance. They think they are more important than anything else in this world. Number 3, and a particularly important one, they have a lack of empathy for others. They don't care about anybody else except themselves, especially in a divorce situation. Number 4, they have a constant need for validation and admiration. So it's important to understand and recognize those traits and to have that discussed with your divorce attorney, because there are certain things you need to consider going through a divorce that makes these type of divorces even more challenging when you're dealing with narcissism. So how do you deal with your narcissistic spouse? Well, here are 10 considerations you need to think about in going through your divorce case. Number 1, seeking legal advice and counsel. It's important to speak with somebody that has some familiarity with parties that have narcissism disorders and how to deal with those type of situations in a divorce case. Number 2, you need to document everything. You need to save all emails, texts, other forms of communication, what have you, so that you have documentation to show what the spouse has been doing, so that you have proof of the type of behavior that that spouse is giving and acting like. Number 3, setting boundaries. It's important to set boundaries between you and your spouse so that you can minimize contact with that spouse and you can avoid contacting them directly. Sometimes that might involve using a third party as a go-between. It probably might involve using your attorney to do communications through. So you want to avoid direct communications, and setting boundaries in that regard is very important. Number 4, protecting your finances. You want to make sure that you open up bank accounts in your own name and monitoring and being vigilant about the accounts that you do have with your spouse to make sure that something improper is not going on there. You also want to make sure and be diligent about what he or she may be disclosing, because a narcissistic spouse potentially is going to hide or misrepresent their finances in an attempt to make things difficult in your divorce case. Number 5, child custody and parenting schedule considerations. You want to work out and have a very detailed parenting schedule and parenting arrangement with your spouse in a narcissistic personality type issue. You want to make sure that it spells everything out, that there's no ambiguity, because a narcissistic spouse is likely going to take advantage of any ambiguity and it's not going to be in your favor. Number 6, stay calm and focused. It is not unusual for a person with a narcissistic personality to use emotional and verbal manipulation to try to affect the other party's behavior, getting them to do things they don't want to do, and so on. You want to be sure that you are focused and that you stay calm, act and treat your divorce case in a more business-like manner so that you're not manipulated into making decisions you don't want to make in your divorce case. Number 7, self-care. Divorce can be very stressful and very difficult, and it can be even worse when you have a narcissistic spouse. You want to make sure that you take care of yourself, that you avoid stress as much as you can, and try to make sure that you're okay and you have the help that you need to get through this process without the unnecessary stress and difficulty that's already involved in a divorce case. Number 8, safety first. If you feel that your spouse is putting you in a position that makes you feel unsafe, is acting in an irrational way, what have you, you need to act accordingly. If that means getting a restraining order, you need to determine whether you need to do that. You need to talk to an attorney about that. If you have an attorney, you certainly need to discuss that and potentially move forward on that to protect yourself and protect your children. Number 9, consider mediation. Mediation can be a good option even with a narcissistic spouse, because in that situation, if you have a skilled mediator, he or she can go through the issues in a way knowing that they're dealing with a narcissist and come up with a solution that makes both parties feel like they're getting a resolution and getting things done in a fair way. Number 10, prepare for court. If it looks like you're not going to be able to resolve your case out of court, make sure you have all your evidence together, all your documentation, work with your attorney. You want to make sure that you are ready to go and your rights are protected. That's in all cases, certainly even more important with a narcissistic spouse, because a person like that is going to declare war and make things difficult and want to fight you on everything. If that's what you're left with, you got to be prepared to deal with that, and that's where you're going to need a divorce attorney, quite honestly. You know, every case is different, every case is unique. You need to discuss this with your divorce attorney and determine what makes the most sense, what things need to be done if you have a narcissistic spouse, which is only going to make your divorce case a bit more complicated under the circumstances. You know, I've been practicing law for 24 years at this point, and what I've learned is that if you don't act early, your case will suffer as a result. If you're considering getting a divorce or you're at the beginning stages of divorce, please feel free to contact us for a free consultation where we can go through, discuss your situation, and determine a detailed and tailored way to work through your divorce case in a way that makes sense to you and in light of circumstances like having a narcissistic spouse. I'm Gerald Maggio, Southern California divorce attorney. I hope this information has been helpful for you. If you'd like to subscribe to our YouTube channel, please click on the information at the end of this video where you can subscribe to our YouTube channel for more helpful information about divorce and family law issues. See you next time.